Darksiders is a surprisingly challenging and thoroughly entertaining first-run effort from developer Vigil. Darksiders doesn't attempt to be overly unique or original, instead quite openly taking refuge under the reputation that Kratos and Dante have helped generate for the hack and slash genre. The post-apocalyptic world in Darksiders is quite superb, with a wide range of environments that each has an incredibly high amount of detail and plenty of challenging puzzles and problem-solving objectives. Going into Darksiders, there are a few things you should expect. Firstly, the game often moves away from the traditional hack and slash gameplay, focusing on puzzles and the occasional platforming elements. While a majority of the gameplay is your typical button mashing action, it strays off often enough to offer some variety and not feel repetitive. There are plenty of memorable moments throughout the game, and when you couple some of the epic boss battles with a spectacular heaven versus hell story, you have a game of epic proportions. Platforming elements work really well thanks to War's mobility, which improves throughout the game. The combat controls work well for the most part, although it might take a while to get used to the mapping. There's also a lot to take in, especially if you've got a gear weapon assigned to War. The only issue that the combat has is that you can essentially finish the game by simply button mashing. There's the occasional quick time event, and thankfully they're used very sparingly, but you can move through an area using War's basic attack and his assigned gear item. Obviously, some of the bosses require a bit more variety in your combat, but perhaps if the game dictated what you use more often, the combat might not feel repetitive, even remotely so. Still, you can work up some insane combos, and you'll probably want to mix things up a bit anyway, purely because Chaos Mode and some of the special moves are so awesome and devastating that they deserve your attention.
We have enough souls to feed Vulgrim's hunger.
The great thing about the gameplay is that it flows really well from one specific form to another. 1 second you'll be taking on a whole bunch of bad guys, but then once you progress you'll find yourself taking on one of the many puzzles throughout the game. Furthermore, gear items are used to unlock new areas and take down enemies. There are plenty to discover and each have their own specific use, some more devastating and fun than others. A lot of effort has been put into making the weaponry and items very distinctive and useful, as each gear's initial use is to unlock parts of the world, but they can also be used as weapons quite effectively. Darksiders is a welcomed addition to the hack and slash action genre. There's great variety in the gameplay, moving between action, puzzles and platforming elements. The upgrading system is great and there's plenty to buy. The combat is great, although it might take an hour or so to get used to the button placement. Once you've mastered the controls, you'll quickly realise how much there is to take in and get through. Thankfully, the gameplay doesn't get overly repetitive, mainly thanks to a great story and some awesome enemies. Be sure to check out our full written review at www.my360.com.au and www.myps3.com.au.